Because God will forgive you for not giving tithe, but you're going to reap the harvest of stealing.
Of course, cults try to squash all divergent points of view, just in the way that you would expect an authoritarian or a tyrant to do. You know, tyrants will censor. Tyrants don't allow a free press. Tyrants don't want criticism. They don't want to be humiliated, so they outlaw comedy. Right? So you would expect the same sort of stuff in a small tyranny of this cult. And that's exactly how it works. The cult seeks to monopolize the truth.
And, okay, so there was an instance where people came from out of state and y'all got to meet them.
Yeah.
At least once, right? Or maybe more than once, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, we got to meet a few people that came. You know, they would come and want to talk to us. But mainly, like, when volunteers would come, we were to alert them that they were there, if they were there. And, because, you know, everyone that came wasn't bringing donations. They wanted to come and check the place out and maybe donate money or see what the need was or how it operated.
Yeah.
So they would come, and Ronnie or Debbie, sometimes both of them, would walk them around everywhere, show them the tents and everything. But we were told to stay out of that, you know, stay in your tent. Go up there, mind your own business. Don't come up talking to any of the volunteers or anyone that comes from out of state or anywhere that we're talking to. You stay out of it and don't speak unless you're spoken to. Now, sometimes we were told things to not say, you know, like, well, you don't have to tell people that your story for being here or whatever. We've got that covered. So sometimes, you know, people would come from different states or, I don't know, even in this state, they would come and they would see us and they'd come up to us and, you know, just be like, hi, my name is Jane or whoever, and I'm sorry for your situation, but I'm here. I want to see how things are going for you and let you know that I care about you. And so, you know, we would talk to them or whatever, but then later we would be told, you know, that's a no-no. These volunteers that come here, because we worked, myself and another resident especially, we worked from sun up to sundown. And if volunteers would come that might help work out there, and we would talk to them, we would be told immediately and thereafter, you don't conversate with them about anything that goes on here. You don't exchange phone numbers. You're not here to make friends with anyone. The volunteers come here because we let them come here. And there's no need for them to try to keep track of you or your story or anything like that. But a lot of them were there for that reason. You know?
Right, they want to make
like,
a connection, kind of.
Yeah, they were like, I felt drawn to you. I want to keep in contact with you and see how this is helping you, and I want to know, I want to see you progress. I want to follow you.
Yeah.
And we were told that is absolutely not allowed, and if you are caught exchanging phone numbers with any volunteer or getting personal with them, you're out now.
Oh.
And they don't want strangers coming to their village, because strangers have a tendency to badmouth things they don't understand.
That's what you're told.
Yeah. And, you know, strangers they don't tend to badmouth it. They're curious.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know what's going on here.
What is this?
And if you're asked what's going on here, and you're immediately jumped on and told to don't worry about it, get out of here, you're just trying. Well, then people are going to think bad things.
Oh, absolutely, you're right.
I'm pretty sure it's because Kevin was there one day, and they had that camera on top of the camper, and he was there asking us, you know, questions about it, because he was catching on, he was curious, so he came there and started asking us about it, and asking questions about, you know, what's happening with the donations, like, are you guys getting stuff, you know, what's happening with IDs, where are these donations going, and all those questions.
So he caught on, basically.
You know, we were telling him what was going on, and then They caught on that he was catching on, and then he basically wasn't allowed back. And after they kicked us out, they blocked him, and you know he can't go back there and all that other stuff.
Well, what was said? What females? These people don't even have cell phones.
Some do, some do.
Text now or something like that, but I mean, they don't have their own, like, be able to call out.
That Wi-Fi here.
One of the ladies, their tent resident, and they had their phones out, and he saw them, and he went up to them and said that they weren't allowed to be in contact with us.
Wow.
And we were just like, are you kidding? Like, you know, this is why we came here.
Historically, within most cults, there's a sidekick or enforcer. Now, sometimes these terms are used interchangeably. Sometimes a given cult has both of these. A sidekick's more a close, trusted follower who's often a confidant, advisor, or partner in a leader's plans. An enforcer is a similar individual who just happens to use force, intimidation, or violence to maintain order, discipline, or obedience within a group. Some examples of famous sidekicks within large cults that are known to the general public would be Allison Mack within Nexium, Bonnie Lou Nettles in Heaven's Gate, and Ma Anand Sheila of the Rajneeshis. Now, Ma Anand Sheila is a very good example of someone who is more of an enforcer, but the leader didn't quite know that that's what she was. So some of the undoing of the cult was due to her doing things that are probably ill-advised and bringing a lot of attention and legal troubles to the cult. In regard to our own investigation into the Sisters in Christ / Hope Village cult, it's obvious that Ronnie D. Sisk is the second in command, or the sidekick, enforcer. I say this because Ronnie has taken on head pastoral duties for Hope Village, and that's despite the fact that he clearly has limited understanding of the Bible, the inability to understand biblical concepts and make them relatable to even a small crowd of people. He's either partially illiterate, or he just simply suffers from a lot of anxiety when speaking in front of groups of people. Now, he's also made it his job to be more of an enforcer and defender of Sisters in Christ / Hope Village. Even though Debbie drove the car and may have encouraged him to do so, after they followed us for several minutes, Ronnie jumped out of his car in an attempt to attack me, while my woman and my 4-year-old child were both in the car. Now, this is the irrational behavior I referred to just a few moments ago. The type of thing that tears cults apart. They need to operate with limited visibility in terms of things that could be viewed negatively by the community and definitely by law enforcement. There are lots of things that people will set aside when you tie religion into a group of people. They'll set aside someone stealing. They'll set aside some meanness toward members, secrecy in terms of what the group or church believes in, how the cult really views the world. But when it comes to violence, it's usually the last nail in the coffin for most cults. With all that being said, if Ronnie is the one who's taking on most of the pastoral duty, he's the one out there risking his own freedom, especially being an ex-con, and he's the one showing up on camera more, applauding the people that are working hard. Now, I understand that she's usually the one who's got the desperation in her voice and is essentially begging for donations. I also understand that she's the one who's the face to this cult. But the face isn't what's selling this thing. She doesn't do any sort of creative marketing that draws more people in. In fact, with something like this, you don't want to do professional creative marketing, because then it looks like you just have all the time and money on your hands that you could ever possibly need. So Ronnie essentially has taken on most duties. Now think about the company that you work for, or just one that you know about. True, the CEO normally doesn't engage in day-to-day activity, or at least get their hands dirty, but a cult's a bit different. There's meaning and purpose behind everything a leader says, does, or doesn't do.